Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Love is Blind, episode 2. I've already done one part of episode 2. I'll link it down below if you haven't seen it. So let's go ahead and continue with this episode. Let's see what happens.
Personality is like very bright and very like uplifting, which I love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, you're making me cry. I'm blowing my nose, sorry. It shows me how important finding your person is and like family is. And like my grandma and like we talked about like I stepped away from my job to like help.
Yes.
Right? It was hard for me to be like, yeah, like I am technically between jobs. And that's uncomfortable for me to say because like that's not something I'm proud of necessarily, but I am able to help my family and like I'm able to really spend time with them more than just a stupid job.
I am so glad you feel comfortable sharing that. I hope you let that feeling go of feeling like guilty.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. So we're looking at Joey and Monica has just shared the importance of family, that her grandma is losing her memory, that Monica has given up work to go take care of her grandma, and that she refers to her job as like a stupid thing in comparison to the responsibility of taking care of family. And then Joey reassures her, saying basically, I hope no one makes you feel bad about choosing your family over a job. And I just want to point out that there's something there that I think is true, that a family does come before work, but also what position are you in that you were able to give up a quote stupid job in order to take care of family when a lot of people would need that job to even be able to afford to take care of their family? So is somebody else being the breadwinner? Is somebody else working? Is somebody else paying her way basically? Or is she going into debt? Like, in other words, it's quite privileged to be able to quit your stupid job in order to take care of a sick family member versus I think many of us would not be able to quit. We'd have to do both. So I'm happy for her that she gets to, quote, quit her stupid job, but also she expressed some sort of negative feeling about it, like people were making her feel bad for it. And I think it's just like a misunderstanding of the circumstance. And it's just because most people wouldn't be able to quit their job to do that. So you're kind of saying those people are bad for not quitting their job to be with family, but most people literally can't afford it. That's why the American healthcare system is so flawed, because a lot of us couldn't take time to be with our family members because we aren't, given that time by jobs. I can't tell if she's talking bad about the system, or if she's talking bad about people who also can't do it, or if she's saying she's being made to feel bad by people. And I'm not sure who these people are. I thought that was interesting though. Like, I'm glad she can take care of her grandma. A little confused that she could just quit her job. Maybe it wasn't that important, like for her career. And there's always something to be said about what that can look like for some people. Do you quit your pathway into your job when you know someone's dying? And how does that impact your life after they've passed? Would it be worth it to you? Would it be worth it to them? Lots of questions came to mind when I heard that segment, but let's see.
Especially with it being like as important as you were describing it to me. And no matter what anyone says, you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
This has been by far like the best date I've had.
No, I can confidently, say the same. Not even just in here either.
Really?
Yeah.
I have basically narrowed it down to just 2 boyfriends, both Mason and Alex.
Okay, hold on. So this is Madison, the artist, and she's narrowed it down to Mason and Alex. I keep missing how old Alex is. I keep not writing it down for some reason. I don't know why I keep missing it, but she's 27, Mason's 32.
This is Mason. Who's this?
This is Madison.
Have you seen the movie Her?
No.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite films. It's a guy who has his phone is just an AI bot, and the whole premise of the movie is, this guy just falls in love with a voice in his head. It's like,
Am I the voice in your head?
you are
Pause. Okay. I'm always interested in people who say Her is their favorite movie, because if you've seen the movie and it's a good movie, it's not about good people. And that's what's interesting about people saying their favorite movie is one movie or another. But Her in particular, it's an interesting choice. It's either, I find there's multiple categories of people who find Her to be their favorite film. People who are really, really young, and it's one of the first real, like, arty, like, films they saw where they're like, oh my gosh, this feels so deep. Okay, fair. Then there's the group that kind of identifies with the main character, Joaquin Phoenix, red flag. And then there's the third group of people that, Her is their favorite movie because of the director and the way that it was filmed and the technical side of it and Scarlett Johansson and all of the other stuff, the details that go into the film. And then, of course, people who just liked it in general. I liked it in general. I didn't find it to be like the most earth-shattering film, but I didn't find it to be bad either. I really liked it. I've seen it multiple times. I like the way that it's done. I like the questions that are posed to us as an audience. You know, how do we feel about this? But Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with an AI voice played by Scarlett Johansson. And Scarlett Johansson isn't just his AI voice. She's one of thousands, millions, whatever the number is, of AI or relationships she has via her AI voice. And he's shattered. He can't believe she's seeing other people. It's a whole thing. Now, this isn't that abnormal to think about because it's happening right now, right? Like people fall in love with adult workers, YouTubers, people they go to the like regular, you know, people they see at Target. Human beings are these like little animals that have evolved, and we are so imaginative. We can create a connection to just the way we think about somebody. I know as a YouTuber, lots of parasociality happens. Like people are always DMing me or sending me messages saying like, oh my God, I feel like I know you so much. And I feel like we're so close. And I feel like we could be best friends. And all of that is parasociality. Like when you look at a YouTuber and you think like, oh my gosh, we could be best friends, when you know that YouTuber already has a life outside of work, that is what that is. And so, you know, it's not that far off that people would feel like they had AI girlfriends. I mean, I feel like it is actually happening now in different ways. But it's interesting that this is Mason, a cinematographer, his favorite film. I want to know if he expresses why. Okay, so she's flirting. Her being Madison is flirting. She's saying, "Oh, am I the voice in your head?" And he says, "You are the voice in my head." Okay.
I like to think that I am at the top of your list or something like that because I really enjoy hanging out with you.
No, literally, I was like, not that you're my number one or anything, but I was just saying, I just have this like effortless like comfortability with him. I mean, don't let me pressure you into anything, but.
I mean, you could probably pressure me into a lot.
Okay, I don't know if the editing is the way that it's very flirty and very like, oh, I don't, you know, I get it. Everyone's probably at the stage where there's a lot of flirtation. Now, I did hear from one of my commenters that they do 6 episodes in the pods and we're only on episode 2. So I assume we're going to have a lot of pod conversations, which is, I don't think Love is Blind has ever stretched pod interactions till 6 episodes in. So I'm a little confused on how we're going to have time to meet families and stuff. But that's what I read from a commenter. I haven't looked ahead on the Netflix. Like I'm trying not to spoil it for myself. So, okay, they're flirting. They like each other. He is one of her top 2. I don't know why she's playing coy, but okay.
And just start cuddling because that's some of the stuff we talk about when I'm in the pods and trying to sleep at night. She's always on my mind.
Okay, well, he seems very, very interested. She's very interested. They might just pick each other. I don't know. Alex is confusing to me compared to Mason. But what will be interesting is if Madison wants the like boy, the sweet boy who was bullied, or the boy who's a cool cinematographer. And she's an artist. I feel like in some ways she should choose the cinematographer. That makes more sense. They travel together. They both do art. They both do, they just have more in common. But I wonder if she's going to feel bad for Alex and pick him in a sense. But I don't know.
I've never connected with anyone the way that I've connected with Meg.
It's Meg.
It's Mason.
Oh, Meg. She's our conspiracy theorist, isn't she? Yeah, I wrote goofy flight attendant conspiracy theorist. Okay, so that's Meg. So he really likes Meg. Interesting. Okay.
I get really excited too.
There's so much chemistry there.
Interesting. So I wonder if Meg is going to choose Mason and Madison is going to choose Alex as a default.
I was going to say,
I'm so kidding. I think that's kind of weird.
I was going to say, yeah, if you want to call me daddy.
Zaddy. I like baby girl.
Baby girl?
Yeah, it's just cute. Okay, I actually have a question. Do you like forts?
Oh, yeah, I haven't done a fort in so long.
I love making forts and
Oh
just
my
like getting
God.
it real cozy for like a movie night.
Meg, why are you so
Straight out of a rom-com.
Why are you
No?
so cool?
Does he think Meg is cool because she's like a big kid and it allows him to be like a big kid? Because Madison is giving, I take care of my family, like people depend on me vibes, which means there's a lot more responsibility just getting with her. You're going to have more responsibility because of the way she takes care of her siblings in a sense. But with Meg, she's like all fun and games. And so I wonder if it's the difference between Mason being like, I'm going to be responsible and have responsibility while I'm dating somebody, or Meg, who's just like super fun, you know?
Pajamas and like eat Chinese together, just like with boxes all around us, and then
Yeah.
like have sex on the floor.
That
So,
is-
like, and then like sleep in a fort.
That is such a good fantasy to have.
Okay, would you be down, like truthfully, to move like 45 minutes out of the city to where you have like land?
You say things that I swear to God, they just like created this AI bot that is just saying the things that I want to hear.
Have you seen the movie Her?
You're kidding me.
Whoa. All right. They could be crazy together. Okay, there we go. They both like the movie Her.
Are you? You're not real.
I'm Scarlett Johansson right now.
Yeah, you are. You know how much I love that movie? I can't believe that you brought up the movie Her. Oh my God, it's one of my top 10 for sure.
Is it your top 10?
Yeah, I
What
cry.
else? What else is in your top?
Oh, top 3 for sure
Okay.
is Inception is number 1.
No, no, no,
What?
no.
Inception. Ugh. No offense. No offense. This category of person, it's like Inception, The Matrix, Her. And I'm like, okay, relax. Okay, no judgment. I'm not trying to judge. I just was not impressed with Inception like the rest of the world was, because everybody was like, Brittany, you have to see this movie. It's so mind-blowing. You love philosophy. You'll love this movie. And I was like, I'm sorry. It just wasn't for me. But also, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't like, I like Her better than I like Inception. You know what I mean? It was okay. But when people are like, Inception is my favorite movie, I'm like, okay. Like, okay.
What?
That's my #1 favorite movie.
Kidding me?
I'm not.
This is not real then. Okay.
I love Christopher Nolan.
That's my favorite director.
No.
Like there's nothing immoral about any of their tastes or anything. It just like we're in totally different bubbles. Look, I used to have a whole Nolan thing. I used to be obsessed with like Batman. I used to be obsessed with like, Dark City movies that talk about the good and bad and evil and people. And I love that shit, don't get me wrong. But there's some stage of your life where you realize it's like pretty pop culture, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Give me some pop culture. I love pop culture. But there's something about somebody's taste being only pop culture, which makes me wonder, like, okay, are you like, is Marvel your favorite movie next? Which is fine. But it's like somebody who's like, I love cheeseburger and fries and that's all I eat. It's like, that's great. I love In-N-Out, but I'd like somebody with more diverse taste. Like give me some flavor. Like what's your flavor palette? So no judgment. I'm glad they're so compatible. This is a really good first date question. What's your top 3 movies, if you even have them? What kind of art are you attracted to? What does our lifestyle look like? I like that Meg asked him, how do you feel about moving 45 minutes out of the city? Great question to ask. So all of the date questions they're asking are really good ones. And I do think this will kind of give them a picture of their life. I think Meg comes off really immature to me. She's like, I want to, move in, be sweaty, be in our silk pajamas, eat food, and then like have sex on a floor in a fort. It's like, okay, like I get it. It's all very young feeling.
I was the girl in high school that wore heels every day.
You was running around Park Center in high heels?
Yes, ask about me. No, I'm just kidding. No more athletes, no more.
Well, are you saying you're not an athlete? I feel like
I
a dancer is an athlete.
Oh, well, thank you for recognizing
Yeah,
that.
of course.
Yeah, you're younger for sure. A lot of, like their profession, a lot of times they were creatives. I'm trying not to bash these men.
No, go for it. No, I'm just kidding.
They were just a little bit more like self-centered, and you don't really seem that way. I came here really to date somebody completely different. So I don't want to continue to date the type of guys that I've been dating, for sure. So you are quite refreshing.
So this is Devon and Virginia. Devon's 28 and Virginia's 33. He's the coach and she works in healthcare. So they're being quite complimentary. Earlier in the scene, Devon was hanging around in the guys section of housing, and he was saying that, oh, I'm in love with the last girl I talked to. So it's a little difficult when you're socializing. You kind of almost feel like the most connected to the last person you spoke to. And he was feeling that. I don't know who else. I forget who else Devon is saying. There was another girl, but I can't remember now. Maybe it was Brittany? I don't remember. But him and Virginia seem to be connecting pretty well, which is interesting just because, well, their age gap is not the biggest deal in the world, 33 and 28. But they're making it a big deal, which is interesting because it's not 33 and 28. It's not that, but she keeps bringing it up. Like it keeps coming up. So I wonder if it's going to be a big deal because for them, it's a big deal more than it is actually a big deal.
The biggest thing is like, I can feel that you're just like a very like kind person. And that's like most meaningful to me.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I don't think I've ever dated a nice guy in my entire life.
Yeah, sometimes it goes like that. It's, interesting, the nice guy trope. What is a nice guy? Who does that seem like? I've never dated a wholesome person in my life. I call it wholesome versus nice. Nice guy, like I'm a nice guy, is like, I don't know if that's a negative connotation to me. But wholesome, like I've never dated a wholesome person. Dating somebody who's like wholesome is very specific. I don't think it's mandatory. We don't want to end up with the people that pretend to be good people but are actually bad. We want to end up with people that are good, that when temptation comes their way, they make the right decision, that they might not be wholesome, but they are kind. I'm not the most wholesome person, but I try to make as many kind decisions a day as I can. I try to make good decisions. I try not to give into that ugliness or bitterness. We talk about this on stream all the time. No matter how ugly the world gets, don't become ugly with it. It's so tempting and it's so easy, but I don't want that to be what we become. And I think we always dabble with it. Like, I think it's just how life goes. So I can see why Virginia said I've never dated a nice guy, but I would argue that she probably hasn't dated like a very good person, and that can stunt you. And I feel very similarly. Like, I think one of the things that drew me to my now partner is that they're just like a really good person. And I've never really dated one of those. And it's really nice. It's like really nice. Yeah, it really changes stuff.
Between Virginia and Brittany, it's very even right now. Just like teeter-totter up and down.
I didn't tell my dad.
So he doesn't know at all right
My
now?
dad doesn't know at all.
Oh, wow.
But he talks so much. The whole Eastern Seaboard is gonna be aware. So I'm like, Willie, I'll tell you after.
What did you just say?
His name is Willie.
My dad's name is Willie.
What?
Oh, I love that. How like so many people in the pods have dads with similar names. I think that's so fun. I like that he asked a family question, like your parents, because I'm very interested in that. I love seeing them interact with the families. That's my favorite part of Love is Blind, is basically how did the family and friends react, because that tells me so much more.
Is it William or just Willie?
It's Willie. It's just Willie.
Mine is just Willie.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because his dad's name was Willie too. He's a junior. So he's
No,
cute.
stop.
Yes.
My dad is a junior.
What?
Our dad.
It's not the same.
Aren't they the same dad? Look at them. The chat says, it's not the same dad. No, it's not. It's not. That's pretty funny.
Same dad. No, it's not. It's not. Unless your dad's last name is my last name, which I don't think it is.
No.
Okay.
She didn't want me to play basketball. She's like, all the basketball players she's seen like dressed like boys, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, more of like maybe a traditional mom, or maybe internalized misogynistic mom, where like women have to be feminine, which Brittany's literally dressed in like a cute dress with cute matching socks, like very femme, but also, giving me, I don't want to say it this way, but kind of like autistic femme, which is like very much how I dress. Like, even when I'm dressing feminine, I kind of have like my masculine energy out. Everybody has masculinity and femininity in their energy, but I wonder if her mom was afraid of like lesbian energy, because that's also like, I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing because of the way that I was raised, where I dress like a boy. I dressed in a lot of boy clothes. I still have a lot of boy clothes. I like to be in my masculine, but I also dress in a lot of feminine clothes as well. And like, not that clothing is boy clothing or girl clothing, but I'm just trying to have the conversation. So maybe her mom was, worried her daughter wouldn't attract the right kind of a man if she looked too much like a man. But the truth is that the right person doesn't care. They care about you. They love you, the consciousness. I'm so glad she went and pursued sports anyways, regardless of what her mom wanted, because I think that's really important.
I'm thinking about you.
I was thinking about you last night.
Okay, so this is Madison and Alex are back together, and Alex is 28. Madison is 27 and Mason is 32. Okay, so now I have their ages kind of figured out a little bit better.
What are you like when there is conflict in a relationship? Do you ever get upset and yell or like say
Great
anything
question.
like hurtful?
First of all, I can't physically yell. But also, I grew up with a really angry dad. That's never who I want to be. Instead of getting like mad or violent, I get very logical.
I like that.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay. Instead of getting mad or angry, I get very logical, which I'm actually assuming means like she's suppressing everything to be very matter of fact. But there is a distortion that comes with that, speaking from experience, where when I get upset, I have two modes, and one of those modes is becoming very, quote, logical. But I actually learned after therapy that I wasn't becoming logical. I was actually becoming sort of cut off from information, like from my feelings, which actually made me less logical because I was using less data. So I came to bad conclusions, but in a very matter-of-fact tone, which made people and myself feel like, oh, Brittany's being very like in her right mind. But I was actually like cutting myself off from my feelings and not accounting for how much data was in those feelings. And so instead, after therapy, what I do is say, I'm actually upset. I'm feeling this percentage of upset. And I need to process this out loud or on my own, but it will need to be processed. So I need to weigh the pros and cons of the data at hand without being afraid of any of it, without lashing out or yelling or being, targeting anybody. Let me see what I'm dealing with, but I am upset. And like, I want to say that I'm upset, and I want it to be okay that I'm upset without it being a punishment to whoever I'm upset with or whatever the circumstance that's making me upset. So when I hear her say, oh, when I'm upset, I actually don't yell, I become much more logical. I'm hearing, I don't become more logical. I cut myself off for my feelings. That's what I'm hearing.
I've been in some like pretty brutal situations that I'm really proud of myself that I handled in like a very calm way.
Yeah.
Like I was cheated on with someone that I was living with.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we lived together for 2 years, and like I saw some texts. And it was really bad, but we figured it out.
You guys stayed together?
No, we didn't.
Have you ever cheated before?
No, I have not.
It's unusual.
Unusual?
I feel like I ask that question a lot, and a lot of the times I get a yes.
Oh, interesting. I would say that most people I meet, like cheating is quite controversial in my bubble. I don't meet a lot of people that cheat.
Really?
Yeah. I've also been cheated on multiple times.
What?
Yeah. And this is kind of one of the reasons like I came on Love is Blind. People can kind of look at me and like, you know, initially want me. Once people start getting to know me, they're like, wow, I didn't think that you would be cool, smart, funny, whatever. Like I just thought you were just this pretty girl.
Is Madison giving, what was that girl's name and the other season who's like, I'm like a cheerleader, I'm like really popular, like I don't want you to like me just for my looks. She was with Hannah. Is she giving Hannah vibes where she like talks very highly of herself? I wonder if she's the hog girl in her small pond. And so that's all the messaging she's gotten throughout her life. You know what I mean? Like the way she tells that story, because she could have told it in a different way. Like, I really like dating people and I really vibe. But when we get to know each other, I find that my family and maybe the trauma that I've had as a child is a little too much for people, which is so valid. But I'm looking for somebody who can balance that. But instead, she said it like, oh, like you think you're just, people think I'm just pretty, but I'm actually cool, funny, and smart as well, which doesn't make sense because then why would they cheat on you if you're cool, funny, and smart? I don't understand why she went from I got cheated on to, yeah, when people get to know me and realize I'm cool, funny, and smart, they cheat on me. Like, I feel like there was maybe an editing mistake there from Netflix or something. I'm not sure.
I'm going to trust you until you give me a reason not to.
So do you know the different attachment styles?
Oh, I do. Okay.
Ooh.
Do you know which one you are?
I am an avoidant.
Man.
That actually makes a lot of sense because I was more avoidant personality when I was anxious, like avoidant when I was in those stages where I would either cling harder or like completely cut people off, like my emotions. So I thought I would become more logical when I was upset, but I wasn't. I was becoming avoidant. So, okay, I'm glad she said that. Oh, Miss Stace, I'm glad she said that because that's what I thought. Like that's what I was trying to say earlier is like people who shut down when there's a fight aren't more logical, they're just more avoidant. Now, obviously, present me identifies more like secure attachment because of where I am at the stage of my life. And I would say with Alex, I'm going to assume he's anxious attachment. That's what I'm going to assume. Let's see.
Madison, let's talk about it.
Yes.
So avoidance.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's my natural inclination, right? Is to be an avoidant. When I feel someone's energy start changing towards me, I get scared and I kind of run. It's in a sense of like, well, I don't need them anyway. And I don't know if that's like out of a healthy place or not, but there's just like certain things where I'm just like.
It's not out of a healthy place, but it feels really healthy or it feels very reasonable in the moment. It can feel really empowering even, but it's not healthy. It's actually just like a fear response and a trauma response. Like a healthy person wouldn't need to be avoidant. A healthy person would just state their business and say, thank you. This is how it's looking. Peace and love. And that would be it. But I think when you have that avoidant attachment, that's you bringing in that trauma into the present relationship instead of being healthy about it. I think now after therapy and all the work that I've done, I'm like secure attached. I think I'm very good with like how dynamics are going. I'm fine. That's why I say rejection is like a beautiful thing because rejection is like a consent issue. And when people reject us, people are voicing their consent. And I think that's beautiful, right? Versus maybe in the past, it might have felt like, oh, like, okay, I don't get what's happening. Like, I'm going to become like shut down. I'm going to become like avoidant maybe, or I'm going to become anxious and be like, oh my God, is it me? What's happening? I just want to be around you. Please reassure me. It's like, we all do what we do because of a learned behavior. And Madison has a lot of learned behavior. I wish she was a little bit more self-aware in terms of her deconstruction, because even for her to say, I'm not sure if that's a healthy thing. No, it's not. Like, it's just literally not. So I'm confused about that, I think. Or maybe that's just my opinion and you have a different opinion. Let me know in the comment sections down below. But I would never think that an avoidant person, like attachment style is like healthy. When I, you know what I mean? That's not what I would think of it as, but.
I think that's maybe a little bit of a trigger for me because past relationships, I dealt with that, but like on the extreme end of it.
Yeah.
I'm more anxious. I feel like I'm not good enough. And so I want you to show me that, yes, you care about me and that you are not abandoning me.
Yeah.
And for you, it's like, let me get away and be on my own because I don't need you to show me that I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I think that could lead to some issues.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad he said that, because I will say, and again, I use my own relationship as an example and me as an example, because when you're watching my content, hello, but two, it's just like I'm living proof. The data is with my own life, because I did experiment. I did try different things. I did date. I had a lot of really bad relationships in my 20s because I was avoidant, and then I was anxious, and then I had so many like problems. Now, eventually, I got into a healthy relationship. I'm married. And in this relationship, we're very reassuring, very loving. We're best friends. We reassure each other all the time. But more than that, we do it so naturally. Like, I say this out loud, but I think people forget how important it is to just not feel entitled to your partner's good behavior. And I don't mean like, not being bad to you, but I mean, like, if they hand you something, say thank you. I think sometimes people take for granted, like even siblings, parents, family members, that you're like not to say thank you to people. Something like thank you is a reassurance message. Thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for doing the dishes. Yes, we're not giving gold stars for the basics. We're giving praise and thank you for them doing something that you would just, it's good manners. And that good manner goes a long way. It's like somebody opens the door for you and you just go, oh, it's like rude. But if you say thank you, now you're creating a harmony between those two people. You're creating a connection. And when we create those connections, we start building healthier foundations. So this is definitely like a recipe for disaster. But I think if they both work on it and they're self-aware, they can kind of get to a more secure attachment or head in that direction. But secure attachment you can come to on your own. Good therapy, good philosophy, good value systems can start to reassure you about your place in the universe. So much of our anxiety, our insecurities come from when we don't feel like we know our place in a relationship, at work, in life. And so as long as you're working on your introspection and like where you belong in life, I think things like this can follow. That's my belief, at least. That's what worked for me.
Obviously, I never like want to make you feel anxious. It's not even on the radar. Ultimately, that's what I've noticed in myself. I've recognized those patterns. Just for like some context, I think I told you like my mom's a drug addict. I remember when I was like 12 years old, my stepdad had like taken too many pills or something. I had to make sure that he was like still breathing on my birthday. So I wrote them this letter and I was just like, it's either drugs or it's me. And they didn't choose me.
This is all trauma. This is so important. Avoidant personality was a big part of why my hyper independence played a role. It was like a really toxic symbiotic relationship where I was avoidant because I was like, I don't need you. I don't need anybody. I don't even care. And people would say like, don't you care that we might break up? And I'd say, nope. And to be honest, they weren't healthy relationships anyways. But the way that I would save myself from the breakup, the way I would save myself, because I knew they were bad relationships anyways, is I would also say, I don't need you. And the truth is like in a philosophical sense, I still don't need my partner, but it's not about needing. It's about wanting, enjoying, actually this being my best friend. Look, I don't need anything. We don't really need much, but we do need much. And so you have to separate those things into the macro and the micro. On the micro, we need a lot. We need friends, family, security. We need shelter and food. We need Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But on the macro, we're just like beings in the universe. So when I would look at my life, I would think, well, if I just had to take care of myself, then it would be easier because I was always like taking care of people. If I could just take care of myself, then I would know that I was successful, but I couldn't even take care of myself. Before therapy, I was like a workaholic, messy person. I was working. I was constantly trying to be a good worker. I was there, but I was messy and not focused and unsure of my values and my direction. So, I mean, all of that's trauma related. All of that is my childhood. All of that is a lot of the things that happened to me, even as an adult. So after therapy, I learned my place in life, which allowed me to focus in on my values, which allowed me to move forward and learning to properly and healthy balance that need with the want, and also making sure that when I say I need my partner, I'm not saying it in a really bad way. Like I need my partner, I won't know who I am. I want to make it clear I don't need my partner in that way. I need my partner in the same way that you need your dog or your cat or your job or the thing you love or the life you've made or your parents. Like you enjoy them, you love them, you value them, you want to be loving to them, but they're like, my life isn't defined by them. Because at the end of the day, like there is a type of person whose life is destroyed when these people leave them or these people die, which will happen. And I just don't want to be that person because I think it's unhealthy, but not because I didn't become vulnerable, not because I didn't love them, not because I didn't, make it clear that they are so close to me and important to me. So I think there's a balance. I think the problem is we just don't know what healthy attachment looks like. And we only know what like unhealthy attachment looks like. And so we never know, right? Like what to do. Like, what does it even look like? I think it looks like respect for boundaries, respect for life and death, respect for the fact that your loved ones will die. But that doesn't mean you love them less because you know your life won't be destroyed because they're dead. Instead, that your life will be impacted. My life will be impacted for the better because of the memories we have together, and for the worse temporarily because I no longer have that person. But I think in unhealthy attachment systems, when they're codependent and those people die, they can become wrecked and they can lose themselves because their life was so defined by this relationship. And that's not what I want. And I wonder how much of Madison's life is defined by her role as a sister, her role as that child who is parentified. And that's the question. I also think even though Alex was bullied and had trauma related to it, she might choose Mason or want Mason over Alex because Alex might feel too normie or too healthy, even though I think he has plenty of things to work on. But I wonder if she'll choose Mason for that reason. But I still think Mason is going to choose Meg. So my theory is that Madison is going to want Mason. Mason's going to choose Meg. So Madison's going to choose Alex. I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe.
For a while, I thought not meeting anyone was like a really good thing. But it's not. And I've learned that I'm ready to have someone in my life that like I can rely on and like I can trust fully. It's lonely not having that. And so I don't know if that helps give you context.
It really does, yeah. And I really got emotional when you're talking about your feelings like that. That's really
I know, I'm like tearing
sad.
up.
I'm sorry about that.
But I do expect for you to tell me when I hurt your feelings so that we can work through it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not perfect, but like I feel like you and I, it seems like, have gone through a lot and are very self-aware people. And I'm in a place in my life where I know I can be a very good partner to someone. I don't know, you sound scared over there.
I'm definitely not scared. I just think I have been in relationships with people like that, like not like you, but like a very extreme version of an avoidant person.
Yeah, like an unhealed person.
Yes, exactly. That scares me a little.
Okay, so they've just had a conversation. They're talking about how self-aware they are. Madison says, I think we're both very self-aware. I think I'd be a good partner to somebody. Then he says, I was in a relationship with a really avoidant person, and that worries me. And she says, like an unhealed person. But the thing is like, I would consider them both pretty unhealed. And I would consider them both, like for her to say her attachment style is currently avoidant means you're unhealed, in my opinion, in Brittany's very layman opinion, okay? And the fact that he's anxious is like a lot for me. Like I want to be with secure attachment people personally because I need you to come to the point where being in a relationship isn't the end all be all. Like she said, you know, I thought not being with a partner was better, which I understand as an former avoidant person. Absolutely. You think, fuck it, I won't date, I'll be single, I'll be a boss lady, I don't even need a partner, and that's cope. But then what she got to now is that being with a person would be great because I don't want to be lonely, which I still think is not great. I want her to get to the point where she actually radically recognizes that she's not entitled to a partner, that finding that high compatibility partner is a rare thing. And when it happens, it's great. And though it's probable, it's also improbable in a sense. So if I don't find it, it's not the end of my universe. But if I do find it, it's a blessing. Like, I feel like my partner's a blessing. I feel like we're really lucky. I'm grateful that I met him. Everything is great because we had that random chance of interacting and meeting each other along our journey. But I also he had accepted before we got together that we might not find those people. And it made us getting together just so much more of a gratitude thing than an entitlement thing. Like, I'm so great, I deserve to be in a relationship versus I'm great. My life is great. It would be wonderful, but my life's not going to be less great because I'm not in a relationship. And then to find it is like, oh, that's so wonderful. It's like finding, I don't know, an extra cookie inside of a cookie. You're like, oh, I already had a cookie, but now I have 2 cookies. It's like, okay, great. It's like the cherry on top, right? I feel like with her statement of insinuating she is healed, I would argue that's the red flag. And I think Alex's hesitation to be with Madison is actually really good. And I think he should listen to that intuition, which I assume he will not listen to because this is Love is Blind. But I think he should listen to that. Not because Madison's a bad person, but because Madison's on a journey. She's 27 and she might not be ready to recognize that she's not quite a healed person, right? Just by the sentence structure just now, she's insinuating she is one.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to scare you, but I just want to be honest. Like, you know, that's the whole point of this. Like, I don't want you to get into this and be like, that terrifies me after being married. Are you the type of person that like you need that emotional connection with someone before you can have a physical connection?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I'm that way too. Like I'm not like a first date kisser.
I like that.
Yeah, I like come from like a very religious background. I think I've talked to you about that. But so like the topic of sex.
It's so ironic when people say I come from a really religious background. Also, my parents were addicts who chose drugs over me. Like, how do these two? How does this happen? How does this happen with families? You know, because obviously, what religion is sitting there justifying like addiction? You know what I mean? It's just so interesting when people have such a when they're raised in such a particular bubble where like there's these two things together. Like when I say I was raised in a really religious household, like the drugs and alcohol were not a problem because they're super anti the religion. So like you can't be an addict and be like a Catholic. Like you can be an addict and be a Catholic. You can't be an active addiction and think you're like calling yourself super religious while being an active addiction that prioritizes drugs over children feels immoral to me. Right? It's different if you're an active addiction, but you're acknowledging the problem. Like for her to say my 12-year-old self wrote a letter to my parents saying choose me or the drugs, and they chose the drugs. And then the audacity to say they're also religious. Like, no. But also, obviously, you can be in a religion in an active addiction. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm just curious, who was the religious person in the family? The parents who chose drugs over their kids? Like, you know,
very embarrassing to think about, very embarrassing to talk about. Like you just were not like allowed to like, you know, be, you know, a human in that regard, unless we're talking.
I also don't remember what religion Madison came from. I wrote down artist, 27, breaking generational curses. Because when Madison first came into the show, I remember her being very good with her vocabulary in terms of like, like good, like psychology references, or at least an acknowledgement of self-awareness, or at least a reference of like trauma language where I was like, ooh. But, you know, I mean, I get it. I certainly wasn't a healed person at 27, right? So I'm not trying to argue that I was. I was years off from being a healed person by 27. So, you know, she's on the right path.
You know, I didn't have sex until I was like 22.
Same.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Same.
Anyways, I feel like I've done a lot of work to like not have like shame around it.
I didn't have any shame around it. I left the church at 19. I just didn't like anybody. But also same, 22 girl. I feel like he's a virgin, which is now no problem. Nothing wrong with being a virgin at 28. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's a big deal to be a virgin at 40. I don't. I think it can be a big deal if you are stunted, but I think there's lots of reasons not to be intimate with people.
When I came in here, I thought that you were the strongest connection.
I don't know what just happened. It was like a really weird editing scene. I feel like they were having multiple conversations. The Netflix edited it. It was like half flirtatious, half awkward, but I have no idea what they were talking about. I feel like the editor did something weird with that scene, or I think they're trying to convey awkwardness.
And so I'm trying to really think about it though. I don't want to like make wrong decision. I want to obviously like make a very informed decision.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about the attachment style.
It feels like she's already being avoidant. I feel like she's already detaching. Like I feel like she was really warm and her face was really warm and her facial expression, and now they're pulled back. And so I feel like she's doing it right now, which is the point. Is like I couldn't date an avoidant person or an anxious person because they would be prioritizing their trauma response as the forefront of their communication style. And I need somebody who's like deeply secure and understands like and is, you know, within like healthy enough to express themselves. But I feel like she's pulling back as we speak. And he's being really honest right now and transparent, and I think he should be.
I do understand if that is scary for you, but I hope that I can prove you otherwise.
I hope I didn't scare you off. I hope I can prove to you otherwise. See? Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? She's not secure attached. She said it. So the answer makes sense, I guess.
You were the person that I wanted to talk to the most, probably. I love the way that you think. And you just seem like such a sweetie boy, which is just very opposite of what I have normally gone for.
I mean, she's not wrong. He's definitely more of the, quote, sweetie boy than Mason, who's more of the cool skater boy. But I would say that everyone here feels very immature. And Alex feels like he's trying to be mature, but is falling short, kind of like, but he's young. He's 28. So, yeah, there's a little bit of youngness. There's like a level of, yeah. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Oh, I should probably, think of generic questions for other people, but it's like,
everything just comes back to Mads.
I love that, actually.
Baby blue slip dress. That's like pretty short.
Oh my god.
And then I'm wearing these like brown.
My least favorite part of Love is Blind is when they describe what each other's wearing and then they all have to react with like a, oh yeah, ooh, I like that. Like, I'm like, oh, please. This is my least favorite dialogue between the contestants is just like, what are you wearing? I don't like it.
Kitten heels.
Kitten heels.
Oh, of course, when it's said in a fashion sense, I love a fashion conversation, but this is like a flirt, like, ooh, kitten heels, I love it. You know, it's like, I don't like that.
I really like Mason, but I have not explicitly said, you're my number one, you're my favorite connection. Like, you're the only connection that I could see something with outside of this. I feel like I'm kind of playing this coy game where like I'll drop subtle hints and say things, but I don't want to scare him off too. Like, I don't want to be like, hey, I'm really feeling this.
So they're in the girls' lounge and Meg is getting told that basically Mason and Madison also have a connection, and she's like kind of shocked by it. But she's saying she's playing coy and she doesn't want to go too hard. Girl, you're getting married at the end of this. Like, she's saying, oh, I don't want to scare him off by declaring like, I really like you. Just once again, you are literally getting married at the end of the show. If out of all the social opportunities to be too big, it's this show. I feel like the whole point of Love is Blind is to put it out there. The most aggressive person is the person that often gets picked, because if you're too shy, if the person doubts you like them, they don't get any of the physical cues or reassurance, they might go a different direction. So that's interesting that she's been trying to play coy, because her best bet of getting Mason is to say, I like you a lot. So I'm kind of confused, but then I wonder if they've seen the past seasons, because I only know this from past seasons.
But truthfully, I feel so strong and sure about this connection. And like, how could it get better than this for somebody? It's Meg.
Baby girl.
Yes, say it again.
Baby girl. The fact that you said the movie Her.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I feel like there's like synchronicities. It does make me like pause and kind of like think about our connection. When was your last relationship?
It was 2 years ago.
Okay, mine was 2.
Okay.
I really thought that I was gonna go to college, find my man, get married, and like do life with them. When that didn't happen, I was like, what am I gonna do now? I thought that was my future.
For sure.
But I wouldn't change anything. Like, I'm so glad I had my 20s to explore and be in California and like build my friend group and be a flight attendant and kind of go crazy after how I was raised.
How do you feel about being married in a few months?
If I met my person and I'm 100% confident it's my person, I feel ecstatic.
Yeah, so Megan Mason have been talking, and she said, I've never asked these questions to somebody. I've never asked these, where do you want to live? How many kids do you want? Where do you see our future going with anybody they've actually dated? Which is so typical, right? Regular dating culture, encourages you to move away from these questions. And then even when you're asking them, it's like, how serious are you about being married? There's a seriousness that goes into even picking a career in a sense. All of life can be non-serious, but I find that doesn't get you where you want to go as much as it does when you take it serious. Serious means with a lot of care. It means with a lot of love and intention. And when you're intentional about life, you get results. That's what I find in my own life. But we all go through periods of non-intentionality, right? So
there's actually men who like genuinely want to get married and start a future and buy a home, and like it makes me excited, because even if I don't find my person here, I'm like excited just to be like, okay, like these men exist, they're out there, and like I totally will find it.
Yeah, I mean, just learning the stuff about myself being here
Totally.
is mind-blowing, because I never got a chance to like actually think about all the things that I want in a partner.
Yeah.
This is just such a good experience regardless if you come out of here with someone or not.
I definitely think that there's something to that, because I don't believe energy dies.
That kind of plays into that question, soulmates. I do think there.
yeah, that's so fascinating. I don't think energy dies. I think like the data shows us that like we don't really like disappear in a sense, but I don't think that means you'll find your soulmate in every life. She said, I believe I'll find my soulmate again in every life, but like, I don't worry about that stuff. I think soulmates are just high compatibility partners, and there's many of them out there. And it doesn't, like, I don't put an emphasis on love being the main character in my life. Love is just a cherry on top. My main character is my relationship with myself, being healthy and, intentional about my life, being good. I think it's hard enough to be a good person, let alone falling in love with a good person, and so on and so forth. So kind of interesting that in her belief system, she not only believes in reincarnation, but kind of has this idea that she'll meet her soulmate every life. I don't know if that means something different that I'm processing, but okay.
If reincarnation is real, I feel like I've had quite a few lives.
You are definitely a amazing spirit.
Her language changed a bit. She went from saying, I do believe in reincarnation, to saying, if reincarnation is real. So it seems to be not the most like strong belief, but a sort of like fun belief, which is valid, you know.
Are you scared of getting hurt in here? Like one of my core wounds is like not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
And so thinking about a man that I like choosing someone else over me, it is really scary. Like,
I don't like that, because people don't choose people over you. People choose better people they're better compatible with, which you should be happy about. When I was in my 20s and I was less healed or unhealed, I would feel that like, ooh, who's gonna win the breakup attitude, or being picked over someone else. But then when I got healed, I realized like, oh, breaking up with you and picking somebody else isn't about you. It's about their needs, and they deserve to have a more high compatibility partner. And if I'm not it, they shouldn't be with me. And I think that's what's so wonderful about being rejected, is it gives everyone the right opportunity to be with their right partners. If you don't allow rejection to be a part of your reality, you will continue the cycle of bad marriages and bad divorces. And I just don't want to be a bad marriage, bad divorce statistic, even though there's nothing wrong with that. I'd like to harm reduce by avoiding it. And so being rejected is just, you know, saving time for that future divorce that would have happened anyways. Because if it wasn't now, it was going to be later. Let people break up with you and be happy for it, even if you want to be sad about it, because all breakups are hard. It's okay to mourn the future you imagined, and it's also okay to let go of that future as well, because it wasn't ever going to be a real thing. Otherwise, it would have been. And it's interesting, too, when we look at attachment, like in the Buddhism sense, she has a lot of attachment to things. I wonder what life would look like if she was unattached to the outcome, in a sense, right? Like letting it be what it is, putting in your best foot forward, and not worrying about that anxiety of being picked over somebody else. Because at the end of the day, you're not being picked over somebody else. Life's just going in a different direction. You know, for a hippie conspiracy theorist, she's not very chill, which is why conspiracy theorists are annoying to me, because they lack chill. They're so attached. Just let it go. But they can't. That's why I think they would rather hold on to conclusions with bad data than let it go and look for good data. That's my theory. Not about Meg, but about conspiracy theorists in general. All right, episode is over. And of course, at the very end, Monica and Joey were going to meet each other. But as the door opens, they're like, wait till the next episode. So I'm not going to add any of that into the editing. We'll see that all for next episode. By the end of this episode, what I think I'm gaining or understanding now a little bit more is how insecure everybody is, which is fair, and how that's ultimately going to play a role in these connections. So now that Meg feels rejected by Mason, that means Mason and Madison might get together just because of that reason. Meg didn't, in the edit, actually put her foot out there and say, I like you. Instead, she wanted Mason to do it. And since Mason didn't do it frustrated her, which is frustrating for me, because you're the one who's 30. You're the one who's like grown up. You're the one who should be able to say like, hey, I like you. I mean, what kind of world are we going to live in if like saying I like you to somebody at 30 is still like overwhelming? Like, I get it, you're in love and the butterflies, but there's I don't know, there's like a grown up part of life that we have to be serious and intentional about getting married that I'm not seeing from them. How serious and intentional are you if you're afraid at the same time? But then maybe this show isn't the healthiest for a serious dynamic in a sense. I think this show is fun. I like watching it. But obviously, I wouldn't recommend it in a serious way, though I do really like some of the past couples that are together now. And I'm really happy they met and they seem really happy and compatible. So also, I see the benefit of going on this show because I do think those couples are really high compatible and love each other. So then there's like, well, maybe my person will be on the show because I'm on this show. I don't have strong hopes for these couples. I'll be really real with you. Even Monica and Joey, like I don't get it. But like, I'm not in love with anybody this season yet. Usually in the seasons, I tend to really like people. I don't know. I don't really like anybody at this point, and I'm only the second episode in. Let's see if by episode 3, if I really like somebody more. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. All right, guys, I'll see you for the next one. Bye.
Stuck in my head, in real life while in bed, my belly's being fed and I'm okay. I'm just fine, yet all I do is whine. Not to you in my mind, cause I know I don't make sense. I've been nothing but blessed. So why's my life a mess? Please tell me, cause I'm sick of thinking Yeah, I'm sick of reaching out for the truth and living life as a fool. Dun, 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 dun.